Good evening. 16 March on the Alan Osborne Show. I'm happy to be here, and I'm Alan Osborne. You know the tune. Come on, y'all know it. To where the time cards are free. That's right, folks. On Sesame Street today, we will talk about basic understandings. And so we'll break down the emergency show, and I'll be calling the predictions for the March 17th special meeting at 8:30 to deal with the administrative punishment of Dede Hino, the high lynching of Dede at 8:30 a.m. So let's break down the show where Dede was confronted on the 15th. I really went through, and let's go ahead and you go watch that show. You shouldn't watch tomorrow's BCC show unless you watch that show. You'll have to watch about 63, 64 minutes all the way through Suzanne Harris and Jim Bagby's comments to get the full understanding of how puckered Dede Hino's ass is right now, okay? I mean, it's got some pucker. You go watch that show and watch Boots. Watch him stare down Danny and Mike as he cannot believe that they're opening Pandora's box because Boots might have some issues with his own card. And Trey, he don't know whether to scratch his watch or wind his butt. Just take a look at that too. But anyway, Dede's on the chopping block tomorrow, so let's break down Dede's position. First thing, when they start to confront Dede and Danny asks her what she had to say, first thing Dede says is, why wasn't this discussed behind closed doors? Because what she really meant was, out here in public, I can't tell you what skeletons I know on you people. And now y'all put me out here in front of the public, and we could have cut a Stan Sunday and Larry Jones deal had y'all talked to me offline. But I'm about to get cornholed by Corman or some kind, but now Corman, he don't want nothing to do with it. He sees the writing on the wall and the smell of lawsuit and blood in the water. And so Mike Barker is going to bring it back to the BCC because Corman takes over April 1st. You can't make this up. So Dede's first position is, why didn't we have a backroom deal? Second position is, she wrote a check. She knew she'd done it. They told she did it, but she never paid them $400 because everybody wouldn't notice, that for months she had an extra $400. She must carry a super high balance all the time. I don't know. Okay. And then Dede goes on to say that she had made these mistakes before. Well, using PayPal, that has nothing to do with the government. And as Glidewell points out correctly, it's basically a way to spend money when they already have a money spending system. Why would you do it? Unless you were buying yourself stuff that nobody could track, then losing the receipts. Anyway, she goes on to say she'd made these mistakes before, and at least back through 18, as Barker points out. And Clay clearly pontificates to the point, but the bottom line is Clay said she absolutely broke the policy in 2 or 3 different ways. So I'll break through Clay's 10 minutes of bullshit. Now, here's what the thing. She says she followed county policy. But then she goes on later to say she was never trained in some of these policies. Well, she's the assistant administrator and acting administrator. If she's not trained, she doesn't know how it works. Clay clearly, there's a dispute about what policies are in effect because God knows the county doesn't want to put all its policies online where the whole public can read them. They've made it confusing on purpose. So she says she follows them. Then she goes on to say that she doesn't know about them and that she wasn't trained in them. Well, if her and Larry and Stan didn't know how to do it, who was going to train them? Trey, Nick? Dede, can we read those messages between you and Trey? They seem mighty important now. Anyway, so Then she goes on to say that she further doesn't understand timesheets. Now, isn't there millions of dollars in payroll in Walton County? So if the acting county administrator who's been involved in administration for $100,000 worth of raises in 7 years doesn't understand the timesheets, she's actually in charge of the administrative part of administration. Don't you think she should get it? Didn't a clue, not a clue, because she usually just has to sit there. Today, she had to think, answer, and talk on the spot. Didn't work out too well. Anyway, they're basically using per diem as a bonus. She basically admitted that even the elected officials go places, claim all this stuff on their cards, get reimbursed, and get per diem. Now, Mike Barker was trying to make a point today, but I don't know if people picked up on it, was it's really a crime what she did. Possibly. You know, I don't know. It's definitely a policy violation, but let's think about this. And Mike alluded to these exorbitant, because we're paying Stan Sunday right now because he had massive amounts of leave and time off built up. If they're auditing Dede, they ought to audit Larry and Stan and go back and see if they were ever sick or ever really on vacation. Because Barker's point is this: they're salaried employees, and I don't know what their contract says, but they have leave and they have sick leave. And if they don't take it and then later get paid for it again, but they were sick or weren't at work, they falsified time records. And when they're on terminal leave or separation leave or excessive leave or whatever the drug deal is that Stan cut with the county, he's getting paid for time that he might have already taken. So if you looked at that, and these people are making $140,000, $170,000 a year, they don't have to falsify a couple of weeks of felonies, and I mean, a couple of weeks of pay, and they've been into some very serious felonies for turning in documents to get paid from the government. Now, in the U.S. military, they would put you in prison for that. This Dede shrugs it off as normal practice, and they all do it. And you know, and nobody's disputing it. Trey and Boots ain't saying nothing. I think Barker knows he probably hadn't broke the rules. That's why he can be so bold, but it's going to get worse than that. Dede goes on to admit that she hands out her card and pen to people and said that she's been guilty before, but since she pays it back, it's not really stealing. Well, she paid it back because somebody in the county flagged it and said, hey, you ain't supposed to do that. She paid it back because she got caught. She found the lost check because somebody asked for it. She said her accounts merged, her county accounts and her PayPal accounts. I don't know. She's not very understanding of computers the way I see it. I mean, there were so many things. So y'all consider that tomorrow. As we watch the BCC deal with Miss Highnote, they absolutely have the goods to terminate her. If they don't, it will be because of what she knows. And really, Dede knows this woman right here has the skeleton key to the county. And you saw Barker wants that casket open. I think Glidewell wants it open, but he's not smart enough to know what he really wants. He didn't even understand the policy when Clay told it to him, and then he got it wrong. And Clay had to say that is what the policy is. But we've got, she is on deck. Now, something I was told to check into is while y'all are auditing, hopefully Dede, Larry, and Stan back through as long as you need to see if they were taking leave and falsifying time cards too, and what was going on, and their pay cards. Who'd they give their cards to? Did they pay for fire extinguisher contracts? Who knows? But here's a new one too. I understand the administration has had the authority to grandfather some beach permits. Now, there would be big money in that. I think that needs to be part of the audit is there any tracking of the money? And let's face it, folks, if they had to can Stan because he couldn't do what he's supposed to, and Dede didn't know anything, didn't we have the puppet circus? And wasn't Larry the ringmaster all along? And if you'll go back on the Alan Osborne show and you'll go back and watch the Shady Bunch, you'll see the Shady Bunch has fell down, about half of them in the next year. And if somebody will do a real investigation and a real audit, I think you'll see the rest fall, because right here, if they think Dede did wrong, I believe this guy, and the county engineers, a few of them did some stuff that cost millions. And some people may have not even applied for federal aid for fear of an audit. So they did not have the people's best interest in mind. That's how it is on the Alan Osborne Show. There's one of the circuit masters. But on deck tomorrow is acting administrator and former assistant administrator, or might be, Miss High Note. You know, Dede, I don't feel one bit sorry for you. You played to all our sympathies and you told them how bad they treated you. And you watched people like me suffer while you gave me the stare. And I swear to God, watching you squirm today and watching you have to face the karma that you watched get dealt out to citizens like me who didn't deserve it, while you falsely acted like you gave a crap. You were in the driver's seat and still know all the information. And this is the kind of outing all you in the county that want to do wrong to citizens. We can't put up with it anymore. These people aren't building it back better. We just need a little bit better government, Walton County. And hopefully we'll get it. Me, Suzanne Harris, you guys going up to the Horsepower Pavilion, getting a little we the people involved in our government and taking things back on the Alan Osborne Show. Y'all keep them straight out there, because God knows it's obvious they can't manage themselves. You hear?